Today's failed sports betting strategy is relying on trends. Using trends to make bets is a tactic that people use that leads them to the slaughterhouse because it's not a profitable strategy. Now for this video, I'm going to use an example. It's not an exact example, but it's pretty close to a trend I heard one time on ESPN. The trend was something like, the last 8 Michigan State games played at Michigan have gone under. Now an ignorant bettor will hear that and say, oh, well, the under must be the play then. If it's hit 87.5% of the time the last 8, I mean, that's a sure thing, right? Well, let me point out everything that is wrong with that. First off, the sample size is 8. 8. That is statistically insignificant. For a sample size to be statistically significant, we're talking at least 400. So right off the bat, when you see a sample size of 8, it's not worth anything. Second, arbitrary start and end points. Why did they stop at 8? Why didn't they stop at 9? 10. Why is game 8 relevant, but not game 9? Why didn't they stop at 7? Why did they pick 8 as a stopping point? Is it because that makes a trend look the best? For a trend to matter, the start and end points cannot be arbitrary. They have to be rooted in some kind of statistic or math or something relevant to make the start and end point not arbitrary. And third, it uses outdated data. What do games played 16 years ago? Because that's part of the 8-game trend, games played 16 years ago. So in 2004, when Lloyd Carr was still coach of Michigan, and Michigan has gone through 3 coaches since then, why are games played in 2004 relevant to 2019? They're not. For a trend to matter, it has to use data relevant to today. Here's the problem. With this 8-game trend, only one of those games featured any players on either roster that are currently on the team's roster now. So what do games played with no players on either team today have to do with anything? And the one game featuring players on either team's roster, only 50% of those rosters max had any players on today's teams. For a trend to be relevant, it has to have data relevant to today. Here's the truth about trends. If they meant anything, the books already know about it and have already adjusted the line accordingly. The reason you see all these trends pushed out all the time is for 2 reasons. One, to make touts look more credible and make it seem like they know what they're talking about when they're touting. And 2, for the likes of ESPN, to make it seem like they know what they're talking about when it comes to sports betting, like they're being insightful in giving you awesome nuggets, as if they're doing a service to their audience. Yet, I see it all the time in the sports media. Betting nuggets for this week, or betting nuggets for today, and it features all these stupid trends that are meaningless. Arbitrary start and end points, outdated data, and small sample sizes. And yet, I'm sure there's a ton of people who take these trends and run with them thinking they have any value. They don't. And if they did, they're already factored into the line. They're often the #1 thing touts use in their write-ups to justify their picks. I know it seems tempting to use trends to bet with, but don't. It's a failed strategy and you're going to get buried if you do it.